We now know, according to the AP, that China did know and purposefully withheld that. What you've got going on with China right now, I question whether or not we're getting close to an act of war. And I know that might be a little exaggerated, but they've got, this is the story that was published in BuzzFeed.
China and the U.S. they're pretty interdependent on trade. They're extremely interdependent on trade. Yeah. So, a little bit, teeny.
BuzzFeed News. Trolls.
You gotta love the intro to that, eh? Like, I don't want to go on a rant here. I don't want to say anything that could be perceived as hyperbolic, but this is basically the start of the apocalypse. This is the end of all of humanity as we know it. This will be the catalyst that ends the last human breath on this planet. And I will be standing above them, smiling, erect, beanieless.
Working either for China or within China, trying to slow down the response in other regions like Spain, Italy, Taiwan. I think that the BuzzFeed one was specifically about Taiwan. Sowing disinformation so it would slow their response. Things like that.
Why?
Well, I think China wants Taiwan.
Right, but
they don't they're a rogue province, so they consider it.
Yeah, well, that's why they had instructed the World Health Organization to not even mention the name Taiwan.
You saw that video?
That video's crazy. Where the head of the World Health Organization...
It's like they're learning about geopolitics in real time. Yeah, it's disturbing. It certainly is.
...is being interviewed. And in the interview, the woman asks him about Taiwan's response. And he says, I think China's done a great job.
Right.
And then
at first he ignores her.
Yes.
And then he hangs up on her.
Yeah, he hung up on her.
Wow.
But he did say China, and she said Taiwan in specific. And I think that's when he hung up on her. And then he came back and said, well, and she goes, well, let's get back to the question. Well, I think we've already covered it. China's done a great job.
Yep.
Like, he's clearly avoiding. But why does he think he can do that? Like, why?
Why would an organization that depends on getting funding from a lot of different countries not want to play into global politics? Why would they want to be more apolitical? Is there any reason? Is there a financial incentive to doing that? I mean,
what does China have on them?
Money.
I mean, is it funding? Is it
Funding?
just China funding them?
I mean, you saw what happened with the NBA
up until very
and,
recently.
Blizzard.
Up until very
People
recently,
don't want to
so
give
was the
that
United
cold hard
States.
cash. They're making a bold bet. You know what I mean? Do you know what Thucydides' trap is?
No.
So this is, I was reading about this. The Atlantic wrote about this in 2015. Are we headed for a war with China? And Thucydides' trap says that whenever a growing power seeks to upset the dominant power, it results in war. And 12 out of 16 times over the past 500 years, it has happened. So people have been predicting a U.S.-China war for a really long time because of this historical precedent. It's not absolute, but it looks like... I'm not going to pretend like I'm a historical expert or anything like that.
Thank you. We don't have to put on airs. Yeah, he's right in that article. It did say that in that article in 2015, but there's a lot of things that can be said about how different the world is now and how interconnected it is, especially with interconnected commerce. Of all the things that I despise about neoliberalism, there's no question that as countries become more interdependent financially with each other, their conflicts are reduced. They're violent conflicts. There's still an incredible amount of conflict in exploitation. Usually, under neoliberalism, richer countries, Western countries, will exploit poorer countries for resources, for minerals, for oil, for whatever it is, but they won't be invading them. They won't be attacking them. They won't be killing them, but they will be extracting the resources from the country for our benefit.
But it looks extremely probable to me. I've had a lot of people get mad at me saying that I was fear-mongering by bringing this up, but the U.S. just sent 2 warships into the South China Sea, which China considers their own territory.
No kidding. I should message Slime. What is he up to? Is he too good for me? If he's streaming, by the way, pressure him. I'm just messaging him, all right? I'm sending it off. Oh, and by the way, someone yesterday in Vosh's chat was like, how do you reconcile liking both Thought Slime and Vosh? I was like, I like them for 2 separate reasons. I have my own opinions on their personal drama, but I'm not going to sound off on that. That's their thing. If they ever wanted to, I would love to parlay a friendship or something. I don't know how that happens. If it's like in Mortal Kombat, where I just have to do a certain combination of ups and downs, and then I can get the friendship. But yeah, I mean, I can be entertained by both of them. and have an opinion on obviously their own drama, but at the same time, yeah, I'll just what be will be
for you. When you look at what China's been doing in terms of misinformation, clearly lying about the numbers, I can't remember who did this. I think it may have been Germany, removing China's numbers from the charts, saying they're not real. So China's been misleading the rest of the world, withholding information on how bad the infection is. They sent a strike group, an aircraft carrier, through the South China Sea near Taiwan, putting Japan on alert. The U.S.'s aircraft carrier, Theodore Roosevelt, was disabled because of the coronavirus. They evacuated 80% of the personnel. The U.S. does what they call an elephant walk in Guam, where they have all these bombers. Then the U.S. pulls them out because apparently China's got some kind of weapon that can just blanket Guam and wipe out our forces. Next thing I know, we sent...
what kind of weapon do they have that can do that?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm getting my information from just reading peripheral stories. I'm not a military guy or anything like that. Yeah. But it really does, so the U.S. just sent 2 warships into the South China Sea. And I think they're doing this because one of the things I read...
I don't get how does Joe Rogan do this? Like, is he just oblivious, or is he such a professional where he's sitting there and he's just like, yeah, well, I just don't know what you're saying. Like, oh, yeah, interesting. Cool. Yeah, I haven't heard that before. Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice.
From a military website was that the strike force is testing U.S. resolve. The last time that China has done this, where they sent a strike force around Taiwan, actually tried to take it in some fashion, the U.S. sent a couple of super carriers and everything calmed down. Now our super carriers in the region were disabled by COVID.
Well, didn't they go into a group?
Just so we're clear, by the way, he is saying that there's a whole bunch of military operations that are either being infected or stalled or changed because of COVID. The COVID, again, that he is also purporting to have been invented in China. That's the narrative. Like, I'm just asking questions, all right? I just want everyone to know. I'm just asking the tough questions. Why exactly would that be happening? Like, it's unusual, right? I mean, all of a sudden these planes and the elephant bombings. I mean, it's unusual, right?
Exercise with Iran after we killed that guy.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a group exercise with China and Iran.
My lovely Jack, why don't you stream anymore? I haven't seen a Jack Saint stream in forever. Where's your lovely commentary over video games? And then the occasional pushing of the button. You're like, I can't believe this is happening. But anyway, hey, check out Lack Saint, aka Jack Saint, aka if you haven't already watched this YouTube, because his YouTube is fucking awesome, check out his Twitch channel. His Twitch channel is also very entertaining. Should it ever return, Jack, I'll be here for it.
In the sea, they did something like some sort of show of unity right after Trump had that guy assassinated.
Do you see what happened with those Iranian gunboats? They were swarming the U.S. naval vessels, and then Trump ordered them, if they do it again, sink them, blow them up. Do you know that Venezuela tried commandeering a civilian yacht a couple weeks ago?
What?
Venezuelan naval ship crashed into a German-owned private cruise liner. They were trying to as my understanding of the story, because I know a lot of people they're not going to want to provide that analysis. They were trying to steal it. So they claim
steal it.
Yeah, I think the official word from Venezuela was they thought this was a fake cruise ship with assassins from Maduro or something. So they ordered it to come into their waters because they weren't. A Venezuelan naval ship started ramming it, sank itself.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. And so then sometime after, Donald Trump deploys 2 U.S. naval vessels to near Venezuelan waters, which he says are for drug-related operations. I'm not going to, I know a lot of people are going to get heated saying, you know what you're talking about. Yeah. All I know is that's what was reported.
Wow,
who knows what that means or what it leads to, but needless to say, with it, look, Russia is withholding wheat exports. Several European countries have closed their borders within the Schengen area. People are starting to hoard food.
No Keanu Reeves.
We just had a full-page ad in the New York Times Sunday edition, I think it was from Tyson, saying the food supply chain is breaking and we're getting ready for a major shortage of food.
Yeah, they had to kill 2 million chickens.
That's totally a bucket whistle. That right there, I'm calling it. That's a bucket whistle. He's definitely provoking you to buy one of his prepper buckets. He's thinking about it. Like I'm just saying, the supply chains are going to get cut off. So, if only there was another way to eat. If only you could have, a bucket of home. A bucket full of starch. Delicious starch.
Wow.
Because they didn't have anybody to butcher them.
Here's my concern. When you have these nation states shoring up their borders, even within the European Union. That was crazy to me when you see Germany and France and Austria closing their borders to each other. Then you get these warships making these movements. You get people desperate for food. You see Venezuela ramming into a cruise ship. I say this, it could be that we're hyper-focused on it because we're bored. We don't normally pay attention to this stuff. We normally pay attention to celebrity gossip and politics.
Oh, come on. Don't sell yourself short, Tim. You would be just this outlandish if COVID wasn't a thing, you know? If you had no free time at all, you would still be saying this kind of stuff.
Now that we're not doing anything, we're really focused on what's happening in international territory. Or perhaps it's that we're getting desperate and we're scared as the economy tanks.
Well, if it wasn't for mutually assured destruction, I would say, yeah, we're probably moving into a place of war. But when you have two nuclear superpowers like China and the U.S., it's like, what, what do they do? What are you going to do? One guy going to launch a missile, the other guy's going to launch a missile. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to go into a full-scale war and wipe out everyone on the planet? Because that's what would happen.
I think so. I do.
The thing is, who would be more willing to wipe out a giant chunk of the population? Would it be China or would it be the United States?
I don't think it'd be.
So, that's not a sentence I thought I would hear out loud in this. I'm going to be honest. You never know what to expect. But that's a yikes. That's a big yikes. The answer is going to be more yikesy, though. I mean, this is pre-yikes. This is maybe like a warm-up yikes, and then we're about to go head first right now, because the question has been asked. But we know.
Be the United States. I think it'd be China. And I think it really depends on how strained they are for resources and whether or not they're really going to lose.
Right. Okay, so again, China, the economic powerhouse of the world. All right. Obviously second to the United States, of course, but still the second largest economy in the world, on the verge of, I guess, complete financial collapse with their GDP growth rate of a pre-COVID much higher than it is now. Would have had to orchestrate this. And again, I'm just asking questions here, but they create a virus. They create the coronavirus. They unleash it onto their own population first. They reduce their productive output by 50%. But again, this is all part of the plan, long-term gain, and then they distribute this virus. It spreads around the entire world, shutting down the global economy. The same economy that, of course, was buying products from China at a much bigger disproportionate rate than the rest of the world, because again, that's how GDP works. They're selling more than they're buying. Okay, their output is incredible. This same country is now spreading the disease, shutting down the economy, and then creating all these strange cahoots are just popping up too. I love these interconnected moments. It's like, and then of course Venezuela as an entire country is just it's leaving South America, it's breaking apart, and it's slamming into boats, slamming into cruise ships. Venezuela. Come on, we're just asking questions here. I'm not saying they're connected. I'm not saying that there's not a very strong, plausible reason for this. But would China be comfortable with eliminating half of the human race? I would like to know, could China do this? Could China get rid of half of the population of Earth? I'm going to have to say yes. And of course, with food supplies being what they are, you might want to pick up a bucket or 2 buckets. Who can't use a good bucket every now and then?
The difficult... Look, in China, when this broke out, we saw videos of them barricading people in their homes, welding their doors shut. Yeah. The doctor, whistleblower. There's one story Vice ran. A journalist was calling out all of these things, disappears for a month, comes back a month later all happy, like, government's great, we love them.
Really?
Yeah. We know what they do. We've seen videos. Now, this could be propaganda, because I'm in America, so of course I'm getting this information. Maybe the U.S. is trying to, build this up. But I think you take a look at that kind of behavior, the willingness to do anything by any means necessary. And at what point do you get one person who's in charge saying, I will not be the captain of a ship that sinks? I look to, well, I don't want to get super political in American history, but I view it as you've got a leader of a country, and as people are looking at him, he says, this will be the year my country ceases to exist. F that. Presses a button. I will not be I will not be the person who has that stain. It's hard to know, though, because it could be a leader saying, I will not be the person who destroys the world. I would rather go down in history as the, failure of my country.
That was what, 8 minutes? That was 8 minutes before we got the Thanos snap. Before we got the fucking Thanos snap rule. That's okay. So, there's Godwin's law. Like, once an internet community of any kind grows to a certain point, there's going to be an invocation of Nazism, of the Nazis, right? That's going to be achieved at a certain point. Once it grows to a certain level, that's what happens. There's got to be one for Poole. Like once Tim Poole is allowed to speak for more than 6 minutes, the percentage of him mentioning Marvel or Thanos as an explanation for everyday life is going to increase exponentially, like by every minute. I think there's probably going to be a very verifiable ratio of that. Poole's rule. Poole's rule. There it is. There's got to be Poole's rule. All right? I'm you.
Yes, you. Do you like cozy environments with other wholesome people? Well, then come join the Discord. It's got a whole bunch of stuff to help you with creative endeavors, such as stock footage, royalty-free music, and an amazing community of people looking to help each other out and uplift your content. Join the Discord now by going to weareserfs.com. That's weareserfs.com.
We would like to thank Miranda Marone. You are our monarch, and we thank you for our indentured servitude. We would like to thank our lords, Ricky Pilgrim, I'm Raft, Michaela Schmid, Tomospin, Ferrer Tajon. You are all the pillars of our organization. To our Knights of the Square Table, Paul Parafit, Daniel Kahn, Clement Chutskoth, Alan R., Josh Mickelson, and Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, Cooper Pilot, Andrea Lynn Epperly, Dylan Bythe, Terry, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. And to our merchants, thank you for taking mercy upon us.